Hey, this is R6462 bringing you my Magic Commander deck. Of course, I tried to record this twice now already, and I'm getting pissed because I discovered that my memory keeps getting full on this damn camera. So, of course, as always, this deck could be better, but of course, like all normal people, that takes time and a lot of fucking money. But anyways, here's my deck for right now. But of course, my general's Mimeoplasm, doing the dirty. He can exile 2 creatures from any player's graveyards, and he enters as a copy of 1 and gains +1/+1 to the other's power. So if my opponent has, like, for example, how would I put it? Per se, he had like an artisan in the grave, and then he had like a random 21 creature in the graveyard. It would enter as a 30/29 with the ability to bring back another creature. It's just absurdly good. But enough about my general. It's just too retarded to talk about. But for my basics, I run 8 each. And let me tell you, I love this hand of cards. I love them to death. Even the swamps, as unfathomably gorgeous it is. But other than that, for my other ones, I run 3 shocks, and those are for like my mana ramp stuff. And if I need be untap them, then I can just pay 2 life, because paying life in Magic is pretty damn irrelevant. And then of course for my other 2 dual lands, I run Hinterland and Drowned Catacombs. I'm trying to get the one that's black and green, but I don't know the name to it. But it basically does the same thing as these 2, that if you enter, like per se, if it was the one that was black and green, if you control a swamp or forest, then it would enter untapped. So that's pretty essential, especially in today's world. And of course for my regular, well, my special lands as I call them, I run Nykthos, Opal, and Alchemist Refuge. Alchemist Refuge I probably like the most because it gives my lands, it gives my non-land cards in my hand flash. So if it's just like 2 mana, a green and a blue, I can just mana ramp on their turn, and it's like, holy shit. Temple of Deceit, plan on taking it out for the said card, but of course scrying isn't half bad either. But the only planeswalker I run in this deck right now is Garruk. I plan on getting Jace, so that way I can just keep using his effect that, you know, it's like a small factor fiction, that one Jace, but the ability to untap 2 lands is pretty good too. And then of course there's Oracle the Moldiah, mana ramp for days, and Sakura Tribe Elder to sack the lands, Loanora Elves, Yavimaya Dryad. I really like it because it's much better in multiplayer than it is regular, especially if it's like a Emperor EDH, because if your Emperor needs lands, then you can just play this and then just give them the forest. That way they mana ramp as well, and they can search out for their shock lands per se. And Forest Walk is pretty damn good. Birds of Paradise, Wood Elves, Silver Primordial. The thing I probably search for in this deck the most is probably my forests, and because forests are usually the most searchable cards, so that's what a lot of my cards do, is just search for forests, especially my shocks. And him every turn with Progenitor Mimic is ridiculous, because you can, Progenitor Mimic keeps entering as a copy of Primordial, and he keeps blowing up lands, and I keep getting forests for my deck. So it's pretty crazy, like turn 3 or 4, especially with your mana ramp or Quicksilver Amulet. But other than that, Coiling Oracle either puts a land in play or a creature in your hand. is just good all around for 2. Green Weaver Druid, tap for 2. It's alright. There's probably a better one than this, but I can't place my name on. I can't place my finger on the name right now. But Sylvan Cartrid, it's a defender hexproof, and you just add mana, so of any color. So that's pretty essential too. Gyre Sage, it evolves and adds mana. And then other than that, that's my mana ramping creatures. For my shapeshifters or shapesharers, I run Clone, Progenitor, and Shapesharer, and they're all equally retarded in their own right, but I think the one that shines the most out of all of them, I think, has to be either Progenitor or Shapesharer, because Shapesharer just keeps copying creatures, and Progenitor keeps putting tokens of that same creature out, which is ridiculous. Other than that, for my big threats is Simic Sky Swallower, Flying Trample Shroud, always good. Lord of the Void, anything that gets you creatures for free is ridiculous, especially if you're exiling the top 7 cards of their library. It's pretty good. Of course, another flyer that just allows you to search for anything, and this steals you everything, and that steals you more shit. There was a game where they briberied my they desertioned it, and then I was like, okay, bring out Shapesharer, copy Royal Elemental, mana ramp, and by that time I basically just stole everything. It's ridiculous. Especially, speaking of retarded things, oh, so sexy, that Olamog. I was so glad I picked this up today, but basically indestructible, annihilated 4, and destroys permanent when it comes into play. For 11 mana, I'd say that's pretty worth it. For 10/10, that shuffles your graveyard back in. It's pretty good. Artisan is basically your reviver, and it's also annihilated 2. 10/9 for a 9 is pretty good. Your 8/8 Crusher, I'd say that's pretty standard in any mana ramping deck that wants to bring out big creatures. But my Hydras, I play Primordial, Mistcutter, and Protean. Protean is like a perfect attacker and perfect blocker, and these two are just all out to go in, because Mistcutter Hydra can't be countered, and it has haste and Pro Blue, so that's pretty damn good. Primordial just keeps doubling and doubling and doubling and doubling, and especially with Voral the Hullclade and Shapeshare to copy said Voral, you are just going to wreck them. And of course, Protean is just ridiculous all on its own, because if it gets dealt damage, it prevents it, and then it gets double that many +1/+1s at the end of the turn, so it's pretty good. For the worms, I play World Spine Worm and Panglacial, because Panglacial, you're always searching, so it's pretty good if you have like a lot of mana turn 2 or 3, maybe 4. But there was probably barely times that I didn't play him, so then again, of course, the times I didn't play him, my hand was already nutty at that point. But of course, a 15/15 is ridiculous. And then of course, Prophyxian Obliterator. I actually got this off a friend of mine, and let me tell you, he is quite friendly, and I'm so glad I got this off him. So of course I had to trade like a motherfucker, but needless to say, you know. Of course, it's great against burn decks, and the fact it's a 5/5 trampler for 4 is ridiculous. It's just crazy. And then of course, another trampler with Infect and Indestructible for 12 though, is 11/11, shuffles itself back in. It's pretty good. Vorpede, and then there's Prime Speaker, Zagana, and then Voral. The thing I like about Prime Speaker is is that you draw cards while at the same time maintaining your super retardedly huge creature. And Vorals just doubles your counters on anything you want. And of course, my 4/4 unblockable, that whenever it deals damage, it just removes a card from their hand, which is awesome. And then Primordial, it goes ahead and it acts like a monster reborn for Magic, but instead of just one player, it acts against all opposing players, so that's great. And actually, yeah, each opponent, so. And then the Prophet of Krufix, anything that gives my creatures flash and untaps all creatures of the lands I control during each player's untap step is pretty damn good. And then of course I play Engulfing Slagworm, perfect attacker, perfect blocker, it's just retarded all around. And then Platinum Emporium, because I need it for those dire situations where I'm down on life, and if they want to burn me, they're going to have to get through him first. And of course, Gaia's Revenge, and that's the last creature in my deck right now, but can't be countered in haste and can't be the target of non-green spells or abilities from non-green sources. It's pretty good, especially in most decks that anything to get rid of a creature is non-green anyways. Is pretty fucking good. But for my counter spells, I run Counter Spell, Spell Rupture, and Plasma Capture. I say the one I probably like the most is probably my Plasma Capture, because Counter Spell for 4 mana, but during my next pre-combat phase, I gain mana equal to that spell's converted mana cost in any colors I want. Any of them. So if you counter one of the more expensive spells, then you're sitting pretty good. And of course, Brainstorm, where you draw 3 and put 2 of them on top of your library in any order, which is always good. And Worldly Tutor, if this wasn't an instant, I would say it was already good on its own, but just being an instant is retarded, where you can just search your library for a creature card that you want, which is awesome. And of course, Summoning Trap, your creature gets countered, cast it for free, and then look at the top 7, there's a creature among them, put it on the battlefield. So it's crazy. And of course, Tangle, I like this because not only does it make sure that their creatures don't untap, but you still prevent all damage. So for the extra 1 mana, they have to wait for 1 turn to do anything. Well, anything ridiculous with damage. So their commanders have to sit there doing nothing. But as in terms of the mana run, I run Rampant Growth, Nature's Lore, Ranger's Path, Farseek, Hunting Wilds, and Spas of Victory. And I'm going to replace Rampant Growth with a different mana ramper that will search out forests, but I don't know if there's another one out there. I highly doubt it, but it's good for a 2-drop to search out your basics. Demonic Tutor and Diabolic Tutor. I want to get Vampiric Tutor, but that thing is like expensive as hell and basically does the same thing as these two do. And the more searching you do, the better. So, Urban Evolution, draw 3, drop a land. It's pretty good. Draw 1, drop a land. It's always good. And that's it for the mana ramp wise. And then for the drawing, I have Ponder, Minds Aglow, Serene Visions, Preordained, and I'm going to probably take out Minds Aglow, but I don't know, I somewhat like it, because especially if you're playing Prophet of Krufix, and then during their end phase, you make your sorceries have flash, and then you just cast, and then end phase you draw an insane amount, and not only that, but then they have to discard those cards at the end. It's pretty good. And of course, anything with Scry is ridiculous. And of course, for my insane spells, Genesis Wave, this is a pretty fucking good card. Pretty fucking good. you reveal X amount, where X is the mana cost that you paid, and then you just plop everything for free that is equal to or less than the cost that you put out. So it's pretty fucking good. Stolen identity, copy shit, bribery to steal everything and probably make you the most hated player of the whole game, but you know, shit happens. But Undercity Plague, I'm more likely going to take it out, but the only reason why I like it, because it makes them sack a permanent. Discarding a card and sacking a permanent is pretty key, and just making them lose one life is just pretty much icing on the cake. The only reason why I even considered running it is because of Cypher. Putting that on an unblockable, or putting that on just something retardedly huge or something they can't block, is just really good, because it just keeps rap, and you go mana ramp for days. But unexpected results, this is really good because either it makes you mana ramp and get this card back, or you plop a big creature for no fucking reason. And this is usually by turn 2. Turn 3 if need be, but usually you can get it out turn 2, depending on how good your mana ramp is. But other than that, for the last 4 cards of my library, I play Darksteel Ingot, Soul Ring, Descendant's Path, and Lurking Predators. For those of you who don't know what Descendant's Path does, basically it combos with your Shapeshare, where your Shapeshare is a changeling, so it shares all creature types, and at the beginning of your upkeep you get a free creature, since technically your Shapeshare would share the same type as, per se, your Eldrazi, your Avatars, your Elementals, everything. And then you could just go herp dirt for days. And this is your upkeep. So not only do you basically get a free card, if need be, but you also get to still draw for that turn. And of course, Lurking Predators, it's a bit more expensive enchantment, but basically, whenever they play a spell, if the top card of your library is a creature, you cast it. And the fact that, oh no, you just put it on the battlefield, but the fact that you're getting a free creature for no reason is pretty good. And it basically pays for itself too, so. Other than that, that's my commander deck. Hopefully you liked it. I know I need to get stuff like Elvish Piper, Quicksilver Amulet, but that stuff can easily be found. If not, then I guess someone else will probably have them, if anything. But of course, leave your comments on how good you think this deck is, and hopefully I can find room for improvement. And I'll see you guys later.